Hello and welcome back to the MMA Split Pick Show ahead of the UFC Fight Night card headlined by Rafael Fiziev taking on Rafael Dos Anjos. The two Rafaels. This is not the first time that we have done a pick show for these guys. This is not the first time that they have been booked to fight each other. It is not the second time that they have been booked to fight each other. I'm not even sure if this is the third time they've been booked to fight each other. But it's happening. Nothing bad will happen. I am not jinxing this. We will get this fight because no one else is going to keep filling in for these people. It will not keep happening. That being said,
officially, I've got it as number 3. This is booking
number
number
three.
3 for these gentlemen.
It feels like more because we've also had the Islam RDA fights being booked and not working out. Really, I think what we're realizing is that RDA is getting old and gets injured a lot. And then sometimes the other guy also gets injured, unfortunately, and shit happens. But we are here and we need this fight to happen because after a stacked few weeks, this is a great main event, but the rest of the card, not quite as stacked. But for anybody worried about that, we just had the most stacked card of the year. Didn't quite deliver for me. Only a 6 out of 10 I gave it on our podcast breakdown show. So this could end up being a return to the barn burning summer form that we were enjoying throughout June. And a lot of cool fights to be excited about. Before we get into them, please leave a like if you are enjoying the content. Feel free to comment. And if you want to leave your own picks in the comment section, do it. If you do better than us, we will give you a shout out on next week's episode.
And if you don't, we're going to assume you're a bitch. We're going to start telling everyone that you're a bitch. Because, we have your subscriber information. We have your YouTube username. Or in the case of David Laurie, we just know all the people you know. And we're going to tell them you're a bitch.
Also true. That is, of course, our producer, Josh. I am your host, Matt. Again, we do not have Sly. And if you are noticing, yes, we are wearing the same clothes as you would have seen us in the breakdown show. We are recording these on the same day, which means that when Sly isn't available for one, we're not going to have him for the other. But as always,
he's forced us to schedule everything on the same day. He only has to make an excuse once a week now.
He has still left his picks, so we know what his picks are. He is entered into this week's show. He is currently in last place in our Picks League competition. I am still sitting at the top with my nice 1.5, but unfortunately, Josh won the picks last week on methods. Heartbreaking. So he is now on the board in second place at 1, Sly at bottom 0.5.
I'd say
very close to 3 weeks in.
I haven't changed the order, but let me just bring it up real quick. So Sly should be at the bottom of this table, but that's where he belongs.
All right. Absolutely.
Enough of the table.
Enough of the table. On to this week's pick show, and starting with our main event. The two Rafaels, different ends of their career.
It's Rafael against Rafael.
Rafael. I apologize. Yeah. Rafael, you're correct. RDA. I'm going to call him RDA to make sure I don't fuck it up. Very different fighting styles at different points in their career. Very different accomplishments, different backgrounds. This should be an excellent matchup. Fiziev, great knockout of Brad Riddell with the spinning heel kick. He is fighting a guy, though, that I don't think is going to let him have the range that he likes to fight at. RDA is experienced, he's well-rounded, he can grapple, and I think certainly at 155 pounds, as long as the weight cut is right, he has the ability to kind of bully people in the clinch, and he can get them down and use his top pressure. And I kind of feel like this is going to be his tactic going into this fight. He knows that Fiziev's got the kickboxing background. He knows how dangerous he is. He's seen all of his highlights, and he knows that he likes to be just at that kind of range where he can blitz in, lands his lightning fast kicks. I just feel like RDA is going to not make this easy for Fiziev. He's going to not give him the range that he likes to fight at least for the first few rounds. Fiziev is going to have to deal with being in and out, landing shots, not getting clinched, certainly not getting taken down. And the real question I've got with Fiziev is cardio, because in the Bobby Green fight, he did seem like he was flagging a little in that third round. In the Brad Riddell fight, I think they were both a little tired going into that last round, but it did seem better. But it is a question mark that I have. Josh, what's your thoughts on the fight? How are you kind of seeing this all play out? And what's your thoughts on who's going to win?
At 165 or a 170, if only there was a 165 weight class, right? I don't think we see RDA pull out of as many fights. Um, I don't think RDA has any issues, and I think with the 165 division, he's a perennial top five fighter in the UFC. At 155, he's not going to have the same level of cardio, the same level of volume, and for whatever issues we might have seen with Fiziev, he can still get it done when he looks tired.
True.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Matt. RDA has the skill set to make this uncomfortable for Fiziev. It's going to make it very difficult for him. I think he's going to push him all the way through to 5 rounds. I just don't think that his age, at 155, he's a 5 round fighter. And even with the grappler striker kind of thing, at 170, RDA is a fucking volume striking beast. The guy is a machine. What was the unanswered combination he had on Lawler? Something like 50, 70 unanswered strikes. Something ridiculous. He's not going to throw that many fights across the first 3 rounds, I guarantee it. This is going to be a very difficult night for RDA. It's going to be a very valuable learning experience for Fiziev. But yeah, ultimately,
But you see,
go on.
I was going to say, bear in mind, I still think Fiziev is going to win. I've picked him to win this by decision. But if RDA is in a position where he's even able to throw that kind of strikes to the range he's fighting at,
Yeah.
something's gone wrong. He needs to be pushing it, getting him up against the cage, clinching him up, getting takedowns. And if he's not doing that, he needs to be fully out of distance. I personally think RDA is going to win the first couple of rounds of the fight. I think he's going to start really well. I do think he's going to end up losing. I think what's going to happen is that some of the strikes are going to start adding up. I think Fiziev gets to the body really well. Those leg kicks to the body, he hammers it in, and I think that's going to have a big effect over cardio. And I think the younger man will push through, but I don't think it's going to be easy. And I wouldn't be surprised if RDA was able to the old Wily vet was able to get it done. So I'm thinking very close fight, 48-47, maybe a split decision. I am still picking Fiziev though, because it's hard not to, man. The guy's just so electric.
Yeah, and at 155, RDA is a bit more of a lay and pray grappler. He's a little less active with the submission attempts. He doesn't really look to kind of sweep. He's always position over submission. He just really fucking hates this weight cut. I don't know why he ever really cuts down to 55 outside of the fact that he was a champion at 55. He's not going to be a champion at 170, and they're not going to do the 165 division in his lifetime. But it's a miserable fucking weight cut for him. He is not the same fighter at 55. He's a very dangerous guy, but yeah, I think ultimately he's just going to frustrate Fiziev. It's going to be like watching Fernando Alonso in the F1. He's just going to do everything he can to stop Fiziev from definitively passing him. But, at some point we figure Fiziev's going to win this race. So
you and I have said decision. Sly has said Fiziev by KO.
He's so optimistic.
I know.
Little bastard.
On to our co-main event, which shouldn't be our co-main event because these guys have only had one fight each in the UFC. We've got, is it Ciao Borralho taking on Armen Petrosian, who had a great win against Robocop that I did not see coming. And
So
because of that
split
win, it was
decision,
really...
wasn't
It was tight. It was tight, but he did well.
Still
It was a good fight.
opponent.
Good guy to get a win in your debut against on short notice. That win made it really hard to pick because I saw a lot of things I like from Petrosian, but it's not really going to be a standing fight against Chow. He's going to try and get you down to the ground, and he's pretty dangerous on the ground. So I've gone Chow by decision. I have done that tentatively. I don't know if he's going to get the submission. I don't really know a lot about Armin's submission defense. It wasn't tested a lot in the Robocop fight, but Chow, just to be safe, I'm saying decision.
Yeah, I'm going to predict that I think this will be an exciting fight. I think it will live up to co-main. This is very much the antithesis of what we just had at 276. They're not hamstringed by the idea of having big fights booked, so they get to just book the most exciting fights they think they can. This card's got some good fucking fights on it, but this is a weird choice for co-main. Yeah, Bahalio by decision. Please, MMA gods, let this be a fun week.
Sly said Borjalio by KO. So he's same as us so far, but different on the methods. That takes us down to Saeed Nurmagomedov taking on Douglas Silva de Andrade. This isn't Umar, but he's still pretty damn good. He's fighting a absolutely, I mean, you want to talk about ripped. Andrade is about as ripped as a human being can be for his size. And he hits hard, which is why I have picked him to win this fight by KO. You and Sly.
He's kind of got that like that Iggy Pop kind of heroin body, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I love Douglas Silva de Andrade. I hope he's still rocking the Mohawk. Nurmagomedov, he's not related to the Nurmagomedovs, but he is still a fucking beast. I rate this kid at 135. I love me some Douglas Silva de Andrade, but I'm going Nurmagomedov. I think I said decision. Help us out there. I haven't got the.
You said decision. Sly also went Nurmagomedov. He went by submission though. I've broken away. That's literally heads up. That is the only difference in fighter pick between me and Josh for the entire rest of the card. In fact, I think Sly might be exactly the same as you, but we'll see.
No, me and Sly got some separation in the middle.
Fair enough.
If you can believe it, this kid's picking Chase Sherman.
Well, that's where he's going to fuck himself on this one.
Don't jinx us.
Jared Vanderaa taking on Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman. Neither of these guys have really set the world on fire since they've been in the UFC. But Vanderaar's had a couple of wins. He's clearly got some dangerous moves. You know, a couple of his losses are to pretty dangerous guys, whereas Chase Sherman's lost to some idiots. For me, Vanderaar's a really safe pick, and I went Vanderaar by KO.
Yeah, I also went Vanderaar. I think I went KO. You'd never know it to listen to this podcast, but I don't hate Chase Sherman at all. But let's just put it like this, right? This is a heavyweight fight, only heavyweight fight on the card, not the co-main. Okay, it tells you everything you need to know about these two fighters. That they will do anything to not have them in the co-main, including putting in two guys that have less fights than Chase Sherman has overall stints in the UFC. That's something. This guy's been cut from the UFC more times than they have been booked to fight between them. That's something.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, officially he's on the third stint, right? I don't think I'm giving him too much credit for that third one. He was cut and they brought him back because no one else would fight somebody.
Vanderaar's had more than three fights in the UFC.
Oh no, I mean actual cuts though. Chase Sherman's got something like he's getting close to double figures. I think he's on like 7 or 8 UFC fights, but they're almost all losses. But he's been cut 3 times, and he's still here.
Well, Sly believes in him. Sly believes in him. Yeah, he believes in him so much he thinks he's going to win by KO.
Vanderaar's a hard man to get behind as well. This is not an easy fight to pick for all the wrong reasons. It could be fun though. Fuck it, Vanderaar KO.
It will not be nearly as much fun as the card opener of Michael Johnson taking on Jamie Mullarkey. This is a really well-matched fight because Michael Johnson got some confidence back, got a really good win. He's taking on a guy that it's not so much that there's a big submission threat there, although, you know, Mullarkey can operate on the ground, but he can eat shots, he'll pressure, he'll take some absolute fucking haymakers. This is a hard one to call because I think from that last performance, Michael Johnson could get it done. But I also think that Mullarkey's the kind of tough bastard that can kind of walk through and eat enough of those shots, particularly as I don't think Johnson hits quite as hard and fast as he did in his prime. Yeah, and I think he's just going to end up succumbing to the pressure. You know, Mullarkey's going to be in his face the whole fight. I don't see MJ staying at the distance he needs to and kind of believing in himself.
Well, also remember, this kid went down to 145 thinking that he'd be the bigger guy and he'd get some consistency finally fighting against top contenders, and actually had a worse time of it. And he's come back up to 55, had a little taste of success, but I think a lot of it in his head is, I eat these shots better at 55, and that speed difference that I lived on previously is more pronounced at 55. Malarkey, I think the size is going to negate the speed, but more than anything, I think the menace is just getting a little chinny. It's not like he was cutting a
Oh,
shit ton of weight down at 45. He wasn't the biggest lightweight to start with. I I love I love Michael Johnson. Um, One of my favorite ever Ultimate Fighter moments was a Michael Johnson moment. But yeah, this I think Malarkey's got this, and I've gone KO as well.
you have. You've gone KO. I've gone Malarkey by decision. Sly has gone for Michael Johnson by KO.
By the way, I
So
threw you off with my Chase Sherman comment. We've also got the Jamie Pickett fight that we've skipped over.
oh, how
I
did I
do
miss that?
apologise. Well, it's because Dennis Tialulin, fun to say, but he's not like he's had a truckload of UFC fights. This
Oh,
is going to be only his
I
second
think it's
UFC
been
fight.
cancelled, dude. I think it's been cancelled.
Oh no, it's got cancelled back in fucking July as well, didn't it?
We're in July.
Uh, yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at it. I can't read and think at the same time. You're right. It's been pushed over to September. That's why I'm looking at the top of it. Like it's already been cancelled and it's rebooked.
Yeah.
For September. So yeah, my bad.
No worries. But it means that we are on to the prelims and on to Cynthia Calvillo, still at flyweight, taking on Nina Nunes. Nunes, another long absence since her last fight. I think it was Mackenzie Dern. It's been about another year since that fight, maybe longer. She's she's not really in it anymore, is she?
I, she,
Part-time
she
fighter.
she's a top fighter. Had the time off to become a mother, but I think more than anything, her last two losses, it was Big Mac and it was another grappler, but like another top grappler. Um, Let me just stall effectively while I bring it up. But Calvillo is a fighter who I used to really get behind and just hasn't been able to deliver on the hype. Yeah, Tatiana Suarez, the other one. So basically, the two best grapplers in the division. Calvillo is not a Suarez or a Dern, but she is a long, lanky, dangerous grappler. Takes the back well. Nunes, much stronger fighter all round, much more technical athlete. Maybe the more physically imposing athlete in terms of just sort of overall strength and movement, but Calvillo is a dangerous specialist, and it does seem to be that she's strong in an area where Nunes has been struggling. I think it's going to be a fucking good fight, to be fair. I'm kind of excited for this one. I'm leaning towards Cynthia, though. I think I've gone decision. Yeah, Calvillo decision.
Calvillo's had a rough run being at flyweight. I didn't like this fight being at flyweight, but to be honest, Nina Nunes, she's really a strawweight, and the fight's just happening at flyweight. So I don't think Calvillo is going to have the kind of disadvantages she's been facing. You know, she's had to fight when you're fighting Chukagian, when you're fighting Andrade, that extra weight you really feel. And I also kind of feel like Cynthia's slightly lost. I know she's been bumping around gyms, and I think she's been trying to figure out her style a little bit. And she kind of got away from what sort of got her to the dance. I do think she wins this fight, but I think it's just because Nunes is done. I wouldn't even be surprised if she retires with a loss in the octagon.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe, I mean, shit. Uh, don't need the money. Got a lot of other stuff on your plate. You know, spring
Got
chicken.
the kids. Yeah. I've gone Calvillo decision. I think you went Calvillo decision as
Yeah.
well. Sly's just being different from us. He just went Nunes decision. He's just trying to be a contrarian.
I gotta be honest.
It's his new
I think
tactic.
this
I
is a
think.
close fight. I really do. Just looking at it as well. I didn't realize Nina, the last win before the loss or the losing streak started was Claudia Gadea, which is another top grappler in the strawweight division. Bit strange. This one is a flyweight. I totally missed that. Because Calvillo did move up and does kind of sit between the two divisions. But yeah, I feel way more confident knowing this is at 25 now as well. That's not going to do Nina any favours.
No. And I just listen. Do I think Nina in her prime beats Cynthia in her prime? Probably. but they're not fighting in each other's primes. That's the big factor for me. Nina's had the kid. I think she's distracted. I've just watched a whole card where we saw what happens when your heart's not fully in it anymore and you've got one foot out the door. So I feel good. I feel good about my Calvillo pick. That takes us down to a fight that should actually be really fun. I'm looking forward to this one. Ayman Zahabi, or Alaman Zahabi, sorry, taking on Ricky
No,
Tercios.
it's Eamon.
Tough winner.
You had it right the first
Oh,
time.
it is Ayman.
Eamon
Sorry,
Zahabi. Yeah.
I saw the eyes in Alan. Thought I'd missed it. Against Ricky Tercios, he won last year's Ultimate Fighter and was a bit of a character doing it. And is a really fun fighter to watch. And I think he's going to win.
Yeah, man, when Zahabi first came into the UFC, he looked straight dog shit. So wooden, such a poor athlete, fuck all stand up game, and it very much was just his brother's name that seemed to be getting in places. But he's turned it round. He looks a legit fucking UFC fighter these days. That being said, he's going to try and engage in a technical stand-up battle, and Tercios is the younger, better athlete, but also I think he's just a little bit more creative, and he's very good at making fights awkward. I think Eamon kind of does well when he's the more awkward of the two. I think Tercios is going to be more awkward, and not for a lack of athleticism. I think it's going to be just finding short shots where you don't want him to be, and this is Ricky's fight to lose all day long for me.
I agree with you. We all went decision. We're all carpooling on this one. All for Ricky, all decision. Takes us down to other Shevchenko, Antonina Shevchenko taking on Courtney Casey. Both of these ladies in some desperate need of a win. I am edging towards Shevchenko, but I am not confident.
It's hard
That
to
is
pick
they're equally bad.
Courtney Casey isn't that bad. She really isn't that bad. It's just that sometimes you see her kind of tough it out against lower competition. You think maybe she's a problem. You see her against someone a little sharper, and you kind of see the holes in her game. Antonina Shevchenko, again, just loves to underwhelm. So much talent and potential. Great fucking frame for the division. Just can't seem to put it together. It's just, for me, I think Courtney Casey, one of her better weapons is mixing in that low kick, and Shevchenko's just kind of built to counter it well. So, it's kind of on paper, I'm leaning towards Shevchenko. My heart tells me Casey might just want it a little bit more, but this is fucking 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I feel so uncertain on this one. This was a real coin toss for me. I've gone Shevchenko decision.
Yeah, same here. I went Shevchenko decision. Sly's coin flipped the other way. He went Casey. By decision. Sly never picks a finish on girl fights.
I bet he's not winning again. I can't lose to someone so blatantly misogynistic. Just, it's very painful. He already hamstrings his own methodology, and he fucking won the whole thing last time out. It's too much.
I know.
Too much.
Let's move on to the middleweight division. Cody Brundage is back. He's taken on Tressian Gore, who was our tough runner-up against Brian Battle in the middleweight division last year. I have to pick Cody Brundage, although I actually like Tressian Gore as a fighter. I have not seen Tressian Gore beat a UFC-level fighter yet, and that's a problem for me when it comes to picks. I think Brian Battle is decent, and I think you kind of make Tressian Gore look a little bit slow and flat-footed and clueless in that fight. I would be pleasantly surprised to see Tressian prove me wrong, but I'm going Cody. I think I'm going decision.
Yeah, I've gone Brundage decision as well. Brundage is a decent fighter. Tresean, he didn't actually make it to the official final of Tough, was it? Him and Puba had their fight sometime after Battle had officially won. But then
Correct.
Tresean, that was his 4th professional fight. This is going to be his
5th.
5th. So this is going to be his 6th then. So he's 4-1.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, he just looks a little green behind the ears. He looks like a very athletic power puncher that, you know, needs to round out his game and needs to get a lot of experience in. Cody Brundage is not the fucking guy you want to be trying to learn on the job against. I'm going Brundage decision, but you never know. Sean Gore he's got that fucking that leveler, that power. He can just turn your lights off at one shot. So who knows?
Yeah, should be entertaining. I think that's going to be one of the more fun fights on the card. And that takes us to another fight. Just to confirm as well, Sly also went Cody. He went by KO. Takes us to light heavyweight. Personal favorite. Love seeing this guy fight. Kennedy in Zekwachu, even though his name is very hard to say. Taking on Carl Roberson, who has moved up to light heavyweight. I don't think that move is going to continue to work out for Carl Roberson. Didn't work out in his first fight, and I think Kennedy's going to knock him out here. I went for Kennedy by KO.
Yeah, and Chachaku's got a good chin. Rides the storm well. He's got fucking unreal power. I just remember that Carlos Ulberg fight. That was so much fun. I'm going in Chachaku by KO as well.
As is Sly, so we're all carpooling on that one. And that takes us to the first fight of the card, which I can just give you a spoiler alert, is also a carpool. Not a lot of difference on the cards here. Ronnie Lawrence taking on... Give me a try at this one. Hang on. Sadyukop Kakramanov.
Kahramanov. I'm pretty sure it's that KH is going to be a... So I think it's Kahramanov. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't want to say it. It's easier to say it after someone else has already said it wrong. And I'm not saying that I said it right, but it definitely made it easier to say it.
Well, I'm glad I could help. The good news is all of us are picking Ronnie Lawrence to pick my decision, so we don't need to say the name again. We're all good. We're all good. Guys, that's the pick show. It's the card after the card. What can you expect? It's not going to have the same name value, but does that mean the fights are going to be not as enjoyable? Hell no. These might be better fights. They might be more exciting fights. And you might develop a new favorite fighter if you haven't seen the guy beforehand. So enjoy it. Tune in. We will be back next week for our breakdown show, weekly podcast, and the pick show, of course, for the next week's following card. Non-stop for the UFC all summer. Card every single week for a long while coming. I can't wait. I'm loving it. See you next time. Bye, Dave. Bye, Larry.
Bye, Dave.